Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who's going to be reviewing Lil Nas X's Montero, the most reviewed album of the year by my daughter. Now, unlike many people, before listening to this album, I didn't have much awareness of who Lil Nas X was. I like to describe it as having vague awareness, okay? When Old Town Road came out, of course I heard it, but I never listened to it. I would hear it around, my kids would sing it, their friends would sing it. I knew it was a joke, I knew it was a meme. And I just figured, well, whatever this is gonna pass on by and I'll miss it. Like I've missed a lot of things. I will keep this vague awareness. I remember not liking his name because there's already a rapper named Nas. And despite my opinions on Nas, which can be controversial, I think Nas is a great rapper, and just having a name that's like Lil Nas was amazingly absurd and just sort of provocative for no reason, when obviously Nas, whoever it was that was making Old Town Road was not just the new Nas, that much was clear. And then adding the X on the end, it felt like whoever this person was like just using a random rap name generator, which I found out later he basically was. When he came out with a Christmas song, I was vaguely aware of that. My daughter said, "Dad, you should review it." And I said, I don't know. He released another single with a famous video where a bunch of people, the men having sex in hell and Satan and all this stuff. My daughter says it's great. I'm vaguely aware. I subscribe to Entertainment Weekly. I have since 1991. He's on the cover of the Pride issue. I'll read it later. I've always said when he does an album, if I like it and I have the time, I'll review it. So I'm in a kind of nice place here because I've never been burned out. I haven't been burned out on Old Town Road. I haven't been burned out with his shtick. I haven't watched his videos. I haven't watched think pieces about what he is or what he means. I've just been in this great 40-something haze that you can get in, which is very easy to get in with popular culture, where you're just sort of vaguely aware of things, you know? Like ask someone in their 40s who Kylie Jenner is, okay? They're gonna give you an answer like, maybe like a model or a reality TV star. Like she did a sex tape maybe. That's the kind of reaction that you get when you're able to tune out pop culture in the way you can in your 40s. Now, what's interesting is Old Town Road did actually have a very meaningful and good moment for me. And I think this will raise an interesting counterpoint. My nieces and nephews who live in California are very close with my children who live here in New York State. And whenever they get together, there's like always one song that they love and that they play and that they sing the songs. It just happens this way, you know. This year it was Brutal by Olivia Rodrigo, and a couple years ago it was Old Town Road. But the year before that, or maybe 2 years before that, it was Panda. Do you remember Panda by Designer? Now, Panda by Designer is a song which I like more than everything on the Lil Nas X album. By the way, I think Lil Nas X album is excellent. I'll get to that soon. But I think it's a funny comparison because I just assumed, you know, Designer came and went and he had kind of a hit song and it was kind of big and then it was immediately cold. Like, I'm just waiting. I'm a fan of Todd in the Shadows, the YouTuber. I'm waiting for the One Hit Wonderland special on Designer. And when I heard Lil Nas X and I heard Old Town Road, I'm like, oh, that'll be another good song for One Hit Wonderland. This belief, this dismissal is actually at the heart of the album. He is so good at addressing this that it's actually like a spiritual quest to be taken seriously. A spiritual quest to be taken seriously in his art, which is an echo of his spiritual quest to be taken serious in his sexuality. It's an amazing sort of 1-2 punch of like, just because I'm a one-hit wonder, just because I'm gay, doesn't mean you can dismiss me. I'm here and this is what I'm doing. And I realized the only other artist that reminded me this much, that gave me this feeling, was Katy Perry. I remember when Katy Perry came out with I Kissed a Girl, I heard it, dismissed it as problematic and pop trash, and just figured she'd be gone. Just whoever that person was, she is out of the picture. I'll never have to think about, oh my God, 15,000 more songs, and she ended up being a great pop star. The difference, I think, is that Lil Nas X, and I don't know, I could be wrong, okay? So just come back and tell me I'm wrong if you're watching this video in the future. Sky, it's not true. It is currently September 2021. I think by September 2022, Lil Nas X is going to be the biggest pop star in the country. Potentially the biggest pop star in the world. I don't think he is a pop star. I think he's either going to be the pop star or not much of a pop star at all. What he's able to represent is astounding. He represents a lot of the best parts of the American dream. He represents the best parts of our social progress. As our popular culture gets less straight, less white, less monolithic, and more accepting of people in marginalized society, that gets mixed in while this is happening, the concept of genre itself, as though it's a stylistic representation of this spiritual shift in popular culture, is also going away. It now doesn't really matter if you are straight or gay or bi or whatever it is. The same way it doesn't matter if you are hip hop or country or emo or rock or pop. In that way, I think we could call Lil Nas X a truly intersectional pop star, and one on a level that we just haven't really seen before. You know, this is not an album about being gay, black, and famous. But it is very much an album about being gay, black, and famous. It manages to do that thing which albums rarely are able to do, of being completely on the nose, but also not obnoxious. You don't get, when you listen to this, you don't feel like you're being hit over the head with the same themes. It is a great rap album, and it is not a rap album at all. It's a great pop album, and it's not a great pop album. I've been thinking more about that name that I don't like, right? And again, apparently he just thought of the name, just that it sounded like a rap name. Like his name isn't even Nasir, right? His real first name is Montero, which I learned recently. What I think is most interesting is that X at the end. I think the X really is the power of Lil Nas X, because it's the X of collaboration, of mashups, of 21st century intersection. That's how he became famous, rap and country. The success of Old Town Road wasn't really the success of, oh, rap and country can come together. It was just a black person doing what white people have been doing for the past decade, which is making country music, which makes it very clear that perhaps more than any other popular genre, country is the most influenced by hip-hop of any genre in popular culture, okay? The explosion of hip-hop, what hip-hop is able to do, its power, it was emphasized with Old Town Road. But if you actually listen to pop country radio, all you hear are trap beats. All you hear is people trying to rap about where they're from, trying to rap about what they do, about what they have. It's just done with a southern accent. I've been talking a lot with my father lately. He's interested in what is a meme. And he's a very hip guy, he's read a lot of McLuhan. He's very aware of sort of media trends, right? So he's not just a typical, like, I explained memes to my grandpa. But the thing I've been trying to explain to him is that popular music now, it actually needs meme status. That's the thing that Drake understood that Kanye didn't. Kanye doesn't have a sense of humor about himself, so he doesn't know how to allow himself to be a meme. Whereas Drake is fully comfortable being that guy, being the Hotline Bling guy. He knows that that's the actual key. I'm Too Sexy is bad on purpose to be a meme. Kendrick Lamar, Mr. Serious, Mr. I'm just on my beach cruisers and I'm so smart for everybody, he understands it. He gets to be the best rapper in the game while also being top of the morning guy. But nobody knows memes better than Lil Nas X. Nobody does a better job of representing this moment in pop culture where you can't just be talented, you can't just be driven, you have to be cunning. And he is cunning with every single thing he does. This entire album, every single track is a single. There is not a song on this album that could not be taken by an A&R, pushed out to a record, to different radio stations and pushed. Now, I don't think they're all going to be on the pop stations. I think some of them are going to be on the rock stations, some of them are going to be on the sort of soft rock stations, some of them are going to be pop, some of them are going to be R&B. But he just figured out that you have to be cunning and potentially even sort of scamming. I learned this just yesterday when I was looking up about Lil Nas X. He apparently got kicked off of Twitter because even before he was famous, he learned how to game the system to get more followers, to get more visibility. That's sort of what he's doing. with his coming out, with his videos, with his approach, with everything that he does just shows that he is of this system. The meme system, the pop system, the genre mashing system, the intersectional system of everything. He is of it, and he's mastered it. I'm really happy that this album came out and I got to spend so much time with Lil Nas X. Not just because it makes my daughter happy, because it's another musician we can share. I will also say that there's an arrival on this album, and it's not just Lil Nas X. Take a Day Trip is the name of the producer of most of this album. It's actually two people, like the Neptunes are two people. But Take a Day Trip is two people. I forget their names. But they're doing a great job production. There's other producers on here as well. This is not just like a huge conglomeration of just like Max Martin this and A.G. Cook that and just all these different people. No, there's like a crew of like 2 or 3 different production groups here that just make this amazing album all together. Now I am going to do a thing soon in the video, which might anger you. It will anger you. I'm going to compare Lil Nas X to 2 different artists. I'm going to sort of say he's a combination of these 2 people. And when I do, it's going to be in a couple songs from now, you're going to be so upset that you're going to have to leave a comment. So I hope you do. And like and subscribe. I'm getting so many subscribers and I actually like it. It actually makes me happy. But let's get to the album, okay? For every album I give an example song, usually my favorite song, and that's the case here with the song One of Me, which I'll include a link to up there, featuring Elton John. I'll talk about Elton John in a second. Listen to this song, okay? What the hell? It's so catchy. These great rhythms and piano and a great slightly trapped beat, but just such a good beat and so catchy. And I like this, I don't like that. You know, like, it's just very catchy, very well done. This could be a huge hit. I don't know. You tell me in September 2022, you know? And the whole time he is directly referencing Old Town Road. He's talking about the industry demands, about that peril of joining one-hit wonderland. And he talks about it in such a great way that you understand this is actually a struggle. His success is actually a struggle, and we are living with him as he's working through this struggle. Use a meme, use a joke, been a gimmick from the go, all the things that you do just to get your face to show. You're not the next big thing, you're the next thing to go. The self-doubt that comes from this kind of celebration, this is also sort of what I think we need in our civilization right now, because we have so many people who go viral and then everyone talks about them and they're the biggest thing in the world and then their life is over. Remember that lady who put on the Chewbacca mask? Okay? Now I'm a Chewbacca collector, so that was a big moment for me, you know? What happened to the Chewbacca mask lady? She was the biggest deal in the world, and now she's nothing. Our society is creating a new Old Town Road every single day through anonymity and memes and virality, right? Lil Nas X is the one who made it. He's an aspirational figure for all of us who might go viral one day. Elton John. Another thing this album does is what I call the cosign feature. Elton John he basically sits on the piano at the very end of the song. But it's a cosign. You see it and you go, aha. The long, great tradition of gay pop stars that transcend their genre and force the entire world to contend with the fact that there is not just one sexuality, that there are many sexualities, and that they're all valid and equal. It's all right there. You see it says featuring Elton John, but it's also kind of saying, I'm Elton John. And he could be. I'm not going to go through the rest of the album a little bit quicker. First track, Montero, Call Me By Your Name. It starts off with a Spanish guitar sound. By the way, this album mostly is a guitar album. Okay? Everybody who's out there lamenting the death of rock and roll, I get it. And the death of guitar music. But for the most part, this is a guitar-driven album. And it's a pop rap album. What's going on here? Kind of a reggaeton sound. It sounds a little bit, it's interesting. Thematically, it's about this guy who he's into, who's kind of living a fast life. But the thing that's really astounding about this is, and what Lil Nas X does throughout the album, is he uses the trappings of the sort of sexist and misogynist way that rappers talk about sex, right? It's not always misogynist, but it's usually crude and vulgar. But he just transposes it directly over sex with men, right? Sex with another man. Now, obviously, he's not the first person. He's not the first gay rapper, okay? But just so you know, if you don't know, like in the 90s, like the gay rapper was a mysterious figure that nobody knew who they were talking about. Like that's how out of left field, like it was like never a possibility, never a dream, okay? So now we have Brockhampton and we have Tyler and we have all these different people who go outside the bounds of straight heterosexuality. It is a fairly new thing in hip hop. And I think this is a great way to have it. He is as explicit as other rappers. Shoot a child in your mouth. Isn't it amazingly disgusting, amazingly vulgar line, which is great. Because I've been hearing lines about that directed from men to women for the past 35 years I've been listening to hip hop. Now I get to hear it this other way. I wasn't really going to do this, but I leave these introducing books, like introducing philosophy, introducing semiotics, all around the house. Hopefully the kids will pick it up and read it because they look like comic books. So I do have an Introducing Foucault, which I've been kind of looking through lately. And there's an interesting page here about the 20th century and its release of taboo, okay? So I'll just read it briefly here. Taboos and repressions were gradually lifted. Sex in the 20th century was reconceived as liberation. Yet at another level, we are still inciting sex to discourse. Quote, people will be surprised at the eagerness with which we went about pretending to rouse from its slumber a sexuality which everything, our discourses, our customs, our institutions, our regulations, our knowledges, was busy producing in the light of day and broadcasting to noisy accompaniment. Is Madonna the tail-end pop discourse of liberation and repression? No. Lil Nas is the tail end of this. The 21st century, okay? It's not just straight sexuality, which is being freed and liberated. In this new century, truly, we are seeing other sexualities, other genders to be freed and liberated. And that's part of what we're seeing here with this entire album, with lines like, shoot a child in your mouth. Gross. And it's not gross because it's a man receiving the child in the mouth. It's because that line's gross, right? I'm an equal opportunity old man getting offended by the music these kids are listening to these days. The vocal production is just great. And all the way throughout this album, the way it's done, Lil Nas X has such a great range of his voice. He's able to be sort of like kind of yelling and low register and high register and like doubling and tripling himself. It is really nice to listen to. Dead Right Now has these synthesizer horns. In addition to guitar, there's a lot of horns on here, which is kind of matched by this woo, kind of a snoozy song, a laid back song. I like how they hold off the drums until we get to the sleepy and catchy chorus, okay? And it's very much this rags to riches tale with a little tiny detail about his mom maybe being a junkie and an alcoholic. I don't know. He seems sort of bitter and reflective at the same time, which I think is a good way to describe a lot of the tone of this album. Industry Baby is the next song, featuring Jack Harlow and produced by Kanye. Really? I think this is not produced by Kanye. That's my guess, and I don't know anything. I think Kanye is on this song as much as Elton John was on that other song. This is a co-sign featuring. I think Kanye is taking all the publishing and giving all of his prestige to the song. I think this is all Take a Day Trip, making their great production, and Kanye just sort of co-signing. But I don't know. There are some nice kind of snares, kind of like 808s and Heartbreak style marching band drums in here. The whole thing feels very marching band, with this kind of like enunciating horns, singing about plaques and racks, and again, just great vocal production on the chorus. Probably my favorite verse, rap verse from Lil Nas X is this first verse. I'm a pop, like Bieber, yeah, I don't, bees, I'm queer. You know, just his like his very out and about, very open stuff. I ain't fall off, I just ain't released my new ish. Just really cool, like defiant, right? Just always defiant. He's defiantly persistent, defiantly gay. And it's designed as an earworm. And it feels like every single song on this album you could have stuck in your head at any time. Just like right now in my head, like this is screwed up, but I'm talking to you. And as I read the title to each song, It's like there's an iPod in my brain. It hits play. Ba, 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 ba. No, stop. I gotta go to the next song. Next song is called That's What I Want. Are you ready for my shocking comparison? Okay, That's What I Want. This is the song that made me realize who Lil Nas X is. What is the X? He is spiritually the baby of Ricky Martin and Outkast. Like and subscribe, dislike and unsubscribe. Do it all. Let me explain. The Outkast bit came to my mind because this song was written by Outkast 20 years ago. This is just Hey Ya. I don't know how they don't have songwriting credit. It's got the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the beginning. It's acoustic driven. It's got 3 claps at the end. It's got a chorus in which it goes do 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 do. It just is Hey Ya. I don't understand how they're getting on the copyright. That's what got me thinking about this. But let me go into this idea of how Lil Nas X can be Ricky Martin and Outkast. Now, Ricky Martin should be fairly clear. He was a pop star who seemed to be a one-hit wonder with this song, Livin' La Vida Loca. It was a genre mix of Latin music and pop. As he reached the height of his power, he came out as gay, which was very important and very scandalous because he came from a culture which was traditionally macho and traditionally homophobic. All those things apply to Lil Nas X. Pop star with an apparent one-hit wonder at the height of his power, comes from a culture which is hip-hop culture, which is traditionally very macho, traditionally very homophobic. But also mixing together these genres at the same time. And also, Ricky Martin persisted into the future, right? He should have been a one-hit wonder, but he wasn't. And then Outkast, a southern rapper, from Georgia, really good pop sensibility, endearingly odd, capable of singing and rapping, and most importantly, has the potential to sort of change everything. Now, the reason that I like this comparison, or this mashup, is that you're annoyed right now. Because Lil Nas X is not nearly as bad or as frivolous as Ricky Martin, nor is he even close to as talented, prolific, and genius as Outkast. That's how he's in the middle there. He's like neither one nor the other, but he's in this nice middle ground, which I think is the excitement. That he could end up actually, I think he has enough talent. He could just be he could have just made an amazing rap album that everyone just goes, all right, yeah, this guy can spit. He's just great. And he could have made just a straight pop album and say, oh, he doesn't rap at all. But he does this X of the Lil Nas X. So tell me what you think about that comparison in there, okay? About the comparison between him and these figures, sort of spiritually and musically. Next, we have Art of Realization, which is just an interlude, leads into the song Scoop, talks all about working on his body and doing Pilates. I had this funny moment where it's a very nice staccato beat, and I was taking a walk around my neighborhood. I live in a nice neighborhood here in Western New York, and I was walking through, and there are all these birds in this tree. I don't know if you live near trees, right around sunset, birds just lose their mind and just start chirping like crazy. They find one tree, there's hundreds of birds. So I had this nice moment with this cool kind of staccato beat and all these kind of birds chirping at the same time. It was funny, it just made me feel that same kind of, natural rhythm here. I like here how he's talking about how he wants to be a scoop. He wants to be viral, right? That's the whole thing. So much of this album is about the glory and the pain of virality. Doja Cat's on here. I like her kind of weird, otherworldly voice. Reminds me a little bit sort of some of the pop work of Missy Elliott, not too much. Then One of Me, which was my homework, and then Lost in the Citadel. Okay, so I've been introducing my wife to the music of Kanye West, right? She's getting really into Donda, so I'm taking her through the back catalog. And it's fun because I was playing her 808s and Heartbreak, and I was trying to describe the revolution of it. And there are songs on there which I don't think you can really call hip-hop or rap music, but Lost in the Citadel is the most not rap song on any rap album. I believe this to be true. And please, again, I love these conversations in the comments. I have the best comment section on the internet. I read every single thing you write. I don't always respond because I don't know what to say, but I read everything, so I'd love to hear what you think. But This is just an emo rock song. This is Hot Topic rock right here. It's like the best pop punk song I've heard in a long time. And I went to a Fall Out Boy concert, okay? Super catchy, super well made. But if you just played this song and didn't say this is by some guy who calls Lil Nas X, and my daughter played it for me, I would think, oh, that's cool. Someone's making like some actually good emo rock again. But it's not there. It's not just it. Because then the next song, $sign Slime, is a straight rap song. And does that thing I was just saying that he could do? It's this crazy whiplash of just like an emo rock song and then just a straight up 2021 rap song. These horns all over the place, a kind of trap beat, good hard rhyming. We're talking about who's really that person, Megan Thee Stallion, who I think is just great. I did a video on her as well. She's on there, again, talking about sexuality in her body and how she should have her own category in porn. But just that's the richness of this album, is you have a song that is as far away from hip-hop as you can possibly get, and then you have a song which has its fingers directly on the pulse of what hip-hop is now. Leads into Tales of Dominica, which goes back into more Spanish guitar, a song kind of about poverty, a nice kind of shuffling beat with a violin solo. I was thinking too about the music that my daughter listens to and the similarities between this and other music that she's been interested in. This whole album reminds me a fair amount, not so much sonically, but in terms of, I guess again, spiritually, a little bit with Panic at the Disco, like their last couple albums, which are just like these beautifully crafted albums where every song could be a hit. And it's sort of edgy, but so poppy that you just, Pray for the Wicked, come at me, that album's amazing, okay? I don't give 10 out of 10s, but that's a 10 out of 10 album. I don't give ratings, I give thoughts. But that album is a perfection of an album, of a pop album at least, you know? And like, I feel that way a little bit about Lil Nas X in the same way, where it's like in that realm where you just sort of feel like, yeah, it's edgy, but it's not. Sun Goes Down is just a beautiful song with a ridiculously good melody. Now, I don't know. There's a lot of credits on this album, okay? Lil Nas X has a lot of people in the credits working for him. So does Kanye. So I don't know how much we can thank him, but the melody on this song is such a great pop melody. Have a listen to it. Kind of R&B, kind of emo, with the themes of I want to run away from home. But then he shows off his register, where he kind of is able to go low and talk about body shaming. There's more to living than dying for your past mistakes. That's the other thing, which I think this has in common with other Hot Topic rock and roll albums, has in common with albums like Panic at the Disco, is that whenever you're talking about sad things, there's always an uplifting theme sort of at the end here, right? There's much more to living than dying for your past mistakes. It's beautiful. Leads into Void, which has almost a grungy guitar line. The end of the album gets kind of grungy, has some pop punk dynamics where it kind of builds up and slows down. And it seems like a continuation of the previous song about running away. You know, and that's, I don't know much. Again, I read a very small amount about his biography. It seems as though he had kind of a chaotic upbringing, different houses, his dad and his moms who were divorced. It sounds like he's been kind of struggling to find himself through his sexuality, through his music, and that's all sort of in this theme of Today I'm Going to Run Away. Don't Want It is just a great booming bass trap song with like layers and layers of synths. It's kind of a basic song, but even the most basic song is catchy and could be a single. It's very much the success gospel of America in this whole song. I am living proof that if you want it, you can have anything right before your eyes. Okay, that's not exactly true. You have to be ridiculously lucky and amazingly talented, which it appears Lil Nas X was both of those things, right? But still, you know, like having them read off his Grammy announcement was actually on the song. So he's very conscious of like trying to emphasize how much he is more than just this one success. A nice production note on here, it ends with real drums playing the actual drum beat. Why didn't they do that the whole time? It's a really good sounding drum. Like, I don't know. Life After Salem is another sort of genre jump from the previous one. This is just it starts off just super grungy. That's all I can say. Like even his melody in the first two lines, it sounds like someone trying to sing a Kurt Cobain style melody. Then the third and fourth lines of that opening verse then becomes kind of a more R&B thing with a lot more range. And these lyrics, why don't you just take what you want from me and leave? This is a fascinating thing because he's doing another thing here, okay? And again, like, given how big I think Lil Nas X is going to get, and how spectacular his album is, and how just audacious just the whole Lil Nas X thing is, it's just so just like, oh my God. You can lose some of the subtleties and the brilliance in the music. You can just take what you want from me and leave. A lot of this album seems to be about disappointment with lovers who are using him, okay? Potentially they're using him for his body, you know? He puts his body up front all over the place. He's very proud of what shape he's in. He's 22 years old, good-looking guy, all that. He seems to be basically always naked, right? Seems to be very much, you know, in the future, there's going to be a lot of grad school papers written about Lil Nas X's body and his corporality and the way that he embodies black male sexuality and black male homosexuality in a way that hasn't been seen in the mainstream before, or if it has been seen, it's been repressed. I'm just telling you, like, I'm an academic. I could do an hour on Lil Nas X's body and the way it presents itself. But he's so spectacular. Right? Everything about him is so just out and fabulous. You can lose these subtleties. So he's talking about the men that might just want him for his body or just want him because he's famous. You can take what you want from me and leave. But that's also what he's been saying the whole time to us about Little Old Town Road. That my nieces and nephews and my kids driving around in Little Compton, Rhode Island, singing the song, Old Town Road, gonna grab my horse. I don't know, actually. I actually don't know the lyrics. I'm going to grab my horse. I think that's the lyric. Old Town Road, going to grab my horse. I'm going to ride and a ride on my horse. You know, they're all sitting there and they're singing. And that's what we want to do. We want to just extract that song and then make fun of them forever and put them on VH1 and just kind of laugh at it. So sort of the way that we use pop stars is the way that his lovers use him. That's what Lil Nas X did. So while you are sitting there thinking, wow, that dude's naked, he was, again, using sexuality, homosexuality, homosexual relations, interactions, self-doubt, insecurity, to emphasize this weird parallel that exists between his sexuality and his fame. The chorus basically becomes almost like a Linkin Park song, like, what do you want from me? Yeah. I love it. I just love it. The thing is, it's funny because, you know, I was sort of saying this about, I was saying this a little bit about Baby Keem as well, and just sort of like an injury reserve, you know, like where they're kind of like doing a lot of things that are like different, that if they're done poorly, they're going to seem like affect, but when they're done well, it's just amazing, and that's how it feels. It feels like these genre shifts are honest. And then, wait, is there even more? No. And then the album ends with the song, Am I Dreaming? Importantly, ends with another guitar intro. A reminder, this is basically a guitar album. You know, my daughter's learning guitar, and I told her, you should just learn how to play all these songs on guitar, because you can do them all. And this is featuring Billy Ray Cyrus's daughter, who is also a pop star, Miley Cyrus. And this just reminds you of the genius of his remix with Billy Ray Cyrus. So he had a hit, and then he did a remix of his one-hit wonder with one of the great examples of a one-hit wonder, okay? Like, Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus was everywhere, and it was a mix-up of pop and country, and it was everywhere, and he was a joke. The difference between him, the difference between Achy Breaky Heart, Billy Ray Cyrus, and Old Town Road, Lil Nas X is that Billy Ray Cyrus didn't come out as gay at the height of his power, right? And he didn't have much of a career afterwards, at least not in the pop culture. He did somewhat in, you know, in the country world. So it's this beautiful thing, like teaming up with Miley Cyrus, who is a successful pop star, who was sort of like teen star, who was going to be just extracted for her value and then discarded, but then she maintained relevance despite that. So there's a weird sort of aspirational thing with Miley Cyrus. Each of these featurings is representative, is meaningful, right? Like Kanye to represent his artistic growth, Elton John to place himself in the pantheon of great gay pop stars, Doja Cat and Megan Thee Stallion as sort of this hypersexual hip-hop pop crossover capability, and here Miley Cyrus with just like pop and perseverance despite being discarded for your sexuality, for your pop status. It's a nice song. It's the one song my daughter says she doesn't like. So I don't know. If you're a big fan of this album, is this the one you don't like as well? I think she doesn't like it because Miley Cyrus's voice is just not fun to listen to. It's just a little too, I don't know. There's a tone to her voice, but I like the way it harmonizes in the chorus. So there you go. There's my video. I don't know what I'm going to name. I don't know what I'm going to name it. Probably something provocative with a question, because that's what I always end up doing. Because I like hits, and I like subscriptions and comments and all that, and likes. I like all those things. I also like my Patreons. My Patreons help me to buy music. So all the money I get from my Patreons, I turn around and I buy an album with. And I'm going to buy this album for my daughter. Don't tell her. She won't watch this video, don't worry. So these are all the people who are helping me be able to afford to go down to the Record Archive in Rochester, New York. They don't sponsor me, but I sponsor them, and buy this album on vinyl. So thank you very much for that. Okay, well, until next time, I'm going to have every single one of these songs stuck in my head. There's the camera.